5 signs you have a wounded inner child, how to heal. Welcome back. Let's get right into it. Have you ever wondered why certain situations trigger emotions that seem far bigger than the moment itself? Ever feel like you were just born into total chaos? It's like you're wandering without a clue where to go or what to do. You're constantly stressed but can't quite put your finger on why, It's absolutely draining. In just 5 minutes, this message could absolutely change your whole life. Carl Jung believed that many of our adult struggles don't begin in adulthood at all. They begin in childhood. Unless those wounds are brought into the light, they continue shaping our lives from the shadows. Have you ever met someone who looked completely grown up on the outside, successful, responsible, maybe even confident? But the moment they were criticized, rejected, ignored, or abandoned, something inside them completely changed? Almost as if a different person suddenly showed up. Jung believed that many of our adult struggles don't actually begin in adulthood. They begin much earlier in childhood. Most of us think childhood is over. Jung didn't. He believed the child we once were never truly disappeared. The little boy or little girl who felt unseen, rejected, abandoned, or somehow convinced they weren't good enough, grows up with us. And if those wounds are never healed, they quietly begin running our lives from behind the scenes. Today, I want to explore 5 signs you may be carrying a wounded inner child, and, more importantly, how healing can begin. Sign number 1. You constantly seek approval from others. Have you ever noticed how good it feels when someone praises you? There's nothing wrong with that. We all enjoy encouragement. But what happens when someone doesn't approve of you? Do you start doubting yourself, changing who you are, or trying harder and harder to please everyone? Sometimes that need for approval isn't coming from the adult. It's coming from the child within who never felt fully accepted. The child who learned, if people like me, I'm safe, and if people reject me, something must be wrong with me. A wounded inner child often turns adulthood into a never-ending audition, constantly trying to earn love that should never have needed earning in the first place. Sign number 2. You fear abandonment. Maybe someone doesn't call back. A friend suddenly seems distant. A relationship changes. Instantly your mind starts creating stories. They're leaving, they don't care. I've done something wrong. The reaction feels much bigger than the situation itself, because the adult isn't the only one feeling it. The wounded child is feeling it too. The child who once experienced loss, separation, rejection, neglect, or emotional distance. Jung believed that until we become conscious of these hidden wounds, they continue directing our reactions. That's the challenge, but it's also the opportunity, because once we become aware of them, healing can begin. Sign number 3. You are extremely hard on yourself. This one is huge. Some people speak to themselves in ways they would never speak to another human being. Every mistake becomes a personal attack. Every failure becomes proof they're not enough. Nothing ever seems good enough. Not their work, their body, their achievements, or even their life. The real question is, who taught you to talk to yourself that way? Because children aren't born hating themselves. They learn it. Sometimes through criticism, sometimes through unrealistic expectations, and sometimes through emotional environments where love felt conditional. The wounded child grows into an adult, carrying an inner critic that never seems satisfied, and after years of listening to that voice, they begin believing it. Sign number 4. You struggle to trust people. You want connection. You want intimacy. You want meaningful relationships. Yet every time someone gets close, part of you pulls away. You expect betrayal, disappointment, or rejection before it even happens. So you build walls to protect yourself. The strange thing is that those same walls meant to protect us from pain often block love too. Carl Jung often spoke about bringing unconscious patterns into awareness, because once we can see them, they no longer control us. Many trust issues are simply old wounds trying to protect themselves. The child inside says, never let that happen again. But sometimes that protection keeps us trapped. Sign number 5. You feel responsible for everyone else's happiness. This one is sneaky. You become the fixer, the rescuer, the peacemaker, the person holding everything together. You carry everyone's emotions, everyone's problems, and everyone's burdens. Eventually you become exhausted. Many wounded children learned very early to become caretakers. They learn to keep the peace, make others happy, avoid conflict, and earn love through service. But somewhere along the way, they forgot about themselves. So how do we heal? This is where I love Jung's teachings, because he wasn't interested in blame. He was interested in awareness. Healing doesn't begin by blaming our parents or blaming our past. Healing begins by becoming aware of what still lives inside us. It begins by acknowledging the wounded child instead of pretending they don't exist. By listening, offering compassion, and becoming the safe adult that child never had. Maybe healing starts when we stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and start asking, "What happened to me?" That's a very different question. A much kinder question. And perhaps the most important thing to remember is this. The goal isn't to get rid of your inner child. The goal is to reconnect with them, because hidden underneath the wounds is also your creativity, your joy, your wonder, your imagination, and your ability to love. The child doesn't only carry pain, the child carries your magic too. And maybe that's the real lesson. The wounded inner child isn't your enemy. They're simply waiting to finally be seen. And once they are, healing becomes possible maybe for the first time in your life. I just finished reading a book yesterday called Solid Ground by Sylvain Bergen. If you get a chance, buy it up on Amazon. At 15, the sidewalk was my bed, and the streets were my only teacher. When you think it's the end, it's actually the beginning. You'll be amazed at how his childhood experiences affected his life as an adult. He's 54 years old today, and the lessons in that book really reinforce how powerful and long-lasting our early years can be. He shares a few tricks in his journey that have helped him have a wonderful life. Trust me, his story is really powerful, and it's absolutely worth the read. Go ahead and share your childhood experiences and how they affected your adult life. Maybe your story will help someone else heal. By the way, it's okay to comment, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video of the series. Cheers.